Hi and welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings. So today's Q&A show is a question that gets asked all the time, and there's been quite a few discussions about it lately in the 3 Keys webinar group, so I really wanted to do a video about it. And what this topic is should we warn our friends who are being narcissistically abused, or just people in general? Should we warn people that are being narcissistically abused? And this is such a really big topic because it's very hard to watch people we care about being abused. And I think it's really safe to say that after we've unraveled and healed a lot of our own stuff with narcissistic abuse, for the people that are working on themselves, we can see the signs really quite clearly, and we know when people are unconsciously living out their patterns and they're doing the same stuff, and they're with somebody who is narcissistic. And it can be very hard to watch people that we care about and love when we know that they're not doing the work on themselves, and when they've still got their inner unhealed stuff, and that's projecting out into life as their shadows, and then their shadows are coming to meet them via abusers and people that they're living out the same patterns with. And what happens is that generally the abuse gets worse and worse and worse. The abuser gets worse until they hit the point of being a narcissist, because people's souls, just like our own souls, would not have had it any other way, because that's what this is all about. And it's really, really hard to watch that. And also too, we might be feeling quite incensed if we're still in the victim model about what narcissists do to people and how terrible it is, and the world should be warned about them, etc., etc. So on a human level, it's really normal to want to step in and do something about it and warn people. However, and it's a really big however, because if you were anything like me when you were hooked into narcissistic abuse, you will feel like a drug addict. And even further down the line, even when the mask is dropped and you're hooked into all of the abuse and you haven't unraveled and up-leveled your original wounding yet, it's really likely, like I did, that you're going to be acting like a drug addict, trying to hang on for any piece that you can get. You could be lying to friends and family about what the narcissist is doing. You could be hiding that you're still seeing the narcissist and sneaking around behind people's backs. And then what you're trying to do is to introduce evidence about the narcissist to people, where you're trying to talk them up and you're trying to reassure them and you're trying to convince them that this person is okay in your life and that things are getting better and all of that stuff. And it doesn't matter what people are telling you and saying to you, you're not listening. I didn't listen. And the truth is that for so many of us, we didn't listen. And even right from the start, when there were things that felt off, or we had warning signs, or we just knew that things weren't right, we talked ourselves out of it. We didn't listen to that version. We didn't even listen to warnings. I know of so many people in this community at the start of their journey, people warned them. I was warned with both narcissists, but warned significantly. I didn't want to listen to it. I didn't want to believe it. And the truth is, nobody is going to listen to you if they have a soul contract with a narcissist. And what a soul contract means is this person came into our life for evolutionary reasons. They're a perfect match to deliver our unhealed wounds, so that those parts of ourselves, the unconscious, could become conscious so that we could heal it. So when we had the discussion lately in the 3 Keys group about should people be warned, it was quite a big thread. And what I said in that is that people that are not going to stay with narcissists don't have soul contracts with them. And these are the people, and it does happen, I promise you, that listen to their guts, that don't have that crazy chemical attraction to a narcissist. They're the people that show up. So when something's not right, they question it. They show up, they're authentic. And this is what happens whenever anybody is authentic, a true self, in the field with a false self, it will flush a false self out. They'll be unraveled, they'll come undone, they'll be exposed. And then the person who isn't a true self function will walk away from that. Or the narcissist will, because the narcissist will know there is no supply to gain here. There's no gap I can go for to start siphoning this person of energy or resources or sex or whatever it is. So it's, one of the biggest fallacies that anybody can be taken in by a narcissist. That is so not true. So if the people that we're trying to warn, if they are hooked, if they are in there making excuses and justifications and, even after severe abuse or even at the beginning, if they're in there, they more than likely could be having a soul contract with a narcissist. And what that means is that this person is showing up in the relationship from an unhealed inner childhood container, which is unhealed wounds and traumas, and will be trying to force the narcissist to be the healer of those wounds, because that's the gap that narcissists come in on, giving us that feeling and that illusion, that high of, oh my God, finally this person gets me. Finally, this person's going to be the one. So they appear to be the healer of our wounds, and we haven't yet realized they're actually the messenger of them. And that's a soul contract. So people are going to stay. They're not going to listen to you. They're subconscious drivers which need to unravel this, which need to play it to completion, are so much more powerful than the logic or anything that you say. And I really want people to understand, or you may have experienced it, that if your ex was the narcissist and you're trying to warn the next partner, that you are really playing with fire, because you're going to be smeared, you're going to be demonized. The new partner, who's more than likely fulfilling a soul contract with a narcissist, is not going to believe you. They're going to easily be convinced by the narcissist that you're the bad person. And also too, you run this massive risk of getting hooked up in it all again, feeding it power, being abused again. And every moment that you spend focused on the narcissist and or the new person in their life is a moment that you are denying yourself of your own love and healing, and you're not going to get well. So that really doesn't work. So if it's a friend of yours or a family member that's with a narcissist that is not an ex for you, you may be smeared and demonized. You don't run as big a risk. But again, it's still really likely that this person is going to listen to the narcissist if they've got a soul contract with them. So rule of thumb, what I really believe is, if this person doesn't have a soul contract, they'll leave. They'll just leave, whether you warn them or not. There's nothing there for them to unravel and heal. These people are already in their body as an up-leveled adult. They're not a child showing up within a wounded container, unraveling and resolving at an evolutionary soul level these wounds with a narcissist. So they'll leave anyway. They really will. And at the quantum law level, this is what we need to understand. It is such a screwy, crazy human belief that we think, and we've been taught, that we could resolve anything from a state of angst and worry and powerful negative emotion. We can't. All that does is add to the field. It adds to, because the thing is, at the quantum law level, whatever we're emotionally observing, We are adding emotion, energy, emotion to the field, and we're creating. That's how we create. That's how everything's created. So if we're worried about a friend or a family member and we're having sleepless nights and we're tormented about them and we're not helping them, we're not being a good friend or a family member. In fact, they are more likely to be cemented in their drama and pain without their up level and their breakthrough than if you didn't worry. So when we become energetically responsible, when we wake up out of the trance and we start becoming conscious, we realize energetic law and energetic reality. And even though the unseen world where everything is emanating from is unseen, we can't see it, I don't believe that that gives us an excuse to be energetically irresponsible. So if we want to be a good friend or a family member, what we need to do is let go and allow the evolutionary process, see and feel this person waking up to their soul truth and unraveling their wounds and, fulfilling a soul contract and evolving. Know that in your heart, stand back and allow it, be there for them, but don't try to control and don't try to step in and don't try to stop it happening, and hold that space for them. And I know so many people in the community, through working on their own trauma in their own body, their own anxieties about their children or their sister or their brother or their best friend, they have seen that happen. They've seen it unravel. They've seen it all. They've seen that person come out the other side and then join in an evolutionary up-leveling awakening out of their own unconscious life into consciousness, because this stuff is very catchy. It's very contagious once you start living it and breathing it and sharing it energetically just by knowing and feeling it for people. So that's what being a good friend is. And when you stand back and you allow that and you feel that and you up level to knowing that for them, it's very likely that they are going to have a breakdown. And that breakdown is so important because breakdowns need to happen. The old order has to break for the new order to come through, for the breakthrough to happen. It has to happen. And when we understand and we know evolutionary process, we can allow people to have their breakdown, because we know that when life can no longer go on as normal, this is where personal catharsis can really come in for people, especially if we've granted the space and we feel and we know it for them. So I believe that if an adult comes to us for help and asks us for help, absolutely we can show up helping. But how we help is to empower people, is to empower and allow them to have their journey. If we step in and we try and fix it and we try and change it for them and we try to give them a feathered nest and don't want to see them going through all that stuff, really what we're doing is we are getting in the way of their soul and what their soul needs to experience. And if we could pull somebody out of a potentially narcissistic relationship and put cotton wool around them and pull them away and keep them safe, well then as soon as we let them go, they're going to have to go and do it somewhere else. They're going to have to meet another narcissistic individual to trigger their unconscious wounds, to make them conscious so that they can liberate themselves from themselves. That's what all of this is about. So I hope that's really helped you. And the bottom line is, if we are trying to fix and change other people, there's usually a huge indication that we're not taking responsibility for our own evolution. That's a very common part of codependency. We need to stop doing that. Can you imagine if everybody let go and took responsibility to come out of unconsciousness into consciousness? What sort of planet would we be living on? It would be absolutely amazing. So So if you like my videos, I would love you to like and share and comment, and please subscribe to my channel so you can get all my updates. And also too, if you haven't accessed my free resources, which are all about you coming back into your power and your up level and your raising of consciousness and freedom, you can do that by clicking the button which appears on this screen. And I would love you to come into my next 3 Keys free webinar, where there's also 2 weeks of workshopping that we do with hundreds of people from all over the world, but we have amazing conversations and discussions just like this one. And there's just so much healing and relief and up-leveling there for you. So please join me. That would be awesome. So that's it from me and this video. So keep smiling and keep healing and keep thriving, because there is absolutely nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.